Happy Tuesday, folks. Edward Villain here with you for a quick roundup of the Bullet Points Borough Council meeting last night. Just to throw a few things out here first to preface all of this. I've said previously, and I still stand by. You will not see Ever the Villain opinion videos promoted anywhere near what's happening in Columbia. You will see this video promoted there. This isn't an opinion video. This is what's happening in Columbia. There may be an opinion or two thrown in, but for the purpose of reaching who needs to be reached, yes, this will be promoted there. No, my opinion, I will continue to keep away from these pages, especially from what's happening in Columbia. There's no conflict of interest or anything like that. Not that anybody's ever said anything, just something that I'm not going to do right out of the gate. Secondly, usually I'm working off of a script and something I already have in my head and know what I'm doing. Not doing that. I wanted to get into this. I came into this real quick, just having my notes from the meeting tonight. So you may see a lot of editing. You may catch me with a cigarette. Oops, sorry. Don't let the kids watch. Just, preface all this. This is not going to be the normal, goofy, here's what I think, throwing up graphics everywhere. That's not what this is about. So to get right into it, some of the major points. The first thing that they really wanted to discuss, big thing they really wanted to discuss, was the ordinance to change the zoning for our light residential to allow for growery and dispensary operations to come in. This is an ordinance that they started discussing maybe a few months ago. It doesn't do much. It's holding up a sign that says to those companies when this takes effect in a decent way, that when you're ready to go into business, we're open for business. We've already gone through all of the red tape and a lot of things that you'll have to go through to establish these businesses. We've already done away with that. So because there's money to be made there. Of course, there was going to be questions because marijuana bad. And as I had said that I wasn't going to the meeting last night to say anything. I don't make it unknown that I am a huge proponent of medicinal marijuana because I am a patient. I suffer from a debilitating illness, and I would benefit greatly from this. If I would live in another state where it already was done in a full manner, I would be a patient. And this is something that's already been established. And as far as what I have, hey, you want to talk to me about it, ask me anytime. I have no problem talking about it. So when it comes to a subject like this, I have done a lot of research and I have looked into a lot of the things that people are going to be afraid of. And a lot of the things that people feel that they need to be afraid of, you never need to be afraid of if our state system as it is right now continues and doesn't change at all. Right now, Pennsylvania is not attractive to established growery and dispensary people because there's not going to be a huge profit in it compared to what they're already doing elsewhere. The most attractiveness in Pennsylvania is going to be people who are already here, who feel they're going to use this as a startup and go from there. That's a huge difference in the business that you're bringing in. Again, that's the state setup. That's a process. That's things that need to change. But this isn't, they're going to be growing marijuana in a warehouse in the backyard and people are going to be breaking in and all I really said at the meeting was what I'm saying now. Do the research. It's out there. There is tons of it. It's available for anybody to see. Take 5 minutes off of the horrible, horrible things going on in the world on Facebook and learn something about something that you actually have questions about. I'm always preaching this. Ask questions. There's a lot of people have free time to scroll Facebook, and so do I. But I also try to learn something new each day, and I think everybody should when they have spare time. Anyway, I said I was going to ramble. I didn't have much of a formula. So there was that discussion, and it was voted to move forward with the process to vote on this as an ordinance. So that process is now moving forward, and there'll be a time for public comment and stuff at a future meeting, and then it'll be voted on completely. So that was pretty much all that really was said on that issue, and I was happy to see that there wasn't as much marijuana bad as I was expecting to see. Again, that wasn't even really why I was there. I was there just to listen to both issues that are important right now. But I wasn't really there to speak on that. I will have no problem doing it. Obviously, just demonstrated that. But again, I digress. Here it was brought up about a lot of the different attacks and incidents that we've seen crime-wise. And Mayor Lutz had stated that within a lot of these incidents where we've seen, reporting that this happened, that happened, this happened, involving these people, nothing happened, that after the fact, the cameras were used and X amount of people were arrested. After the fact of this one, the cameras were used and X amount of people were arrested. Awesome. That's good to hear that this is happening. He also mentioned, Mayor Lutz also mentioned the beating incident that happened on Walnut Street and what's come from that. And basically where that lies right now is it can only rely on the victim, the eyewitness, who for whatever reason does not want to press charges. I can kind of understand it. There's a lot of fear after something happens like this to a person. There's definitely trauma. Sometimes you don't want to feel like a victim. There's a multitude of different reasons why someone would choose to not pursue something like this. And I don't want to speculate on what any of them may or may not be. What I would like to say to the family and to this individual is, if it is an issue of fear, nobody will ever say that anybody is wrong for being afraid after having something like this happen. Whether it's been documented well or not, for the last 2 weeks, this town pretty much tore itself apart over what happened to you and to your family. We're outraged. We're sad. We're hurt. Because we don't want something like this to happen to you or anybody ever again. Having said that, I would just ask that this family recognize they are not alone in this. We have thrown ourselves into upheaval over this as a community. You certainly are not alone. So then the issue of the neighborhood watch obviously was brought up, and the man who's taken the mantle of this stood up and basically laid out what came from their meeting and their feelings and what they were looking for from the police department and from the borough. And the response back from Mayor Lutz was, again, things are happening. Things are changing. There was also some more discussion about there only being 2 police officers on duty. And I don't want people to overlook that. I'm not going to mow into that in this video because that's an opinion piece. But I really don't want people to overlook that because we also approved the hiring of another officer. Now, think about that. Anyway, so Mayor Lutz also went on to say that there's been some contact from, I believe, 2 or 3 different individuals, it was hard to keep track of, that run different programs, that have started and run different successful programs for youth in at-risk areas, things where they can bring them in and just do normal things with them, where maybe then they will open up and then you can look into counseling and things like that. Was the one that he really spoke to the most of the structure of it, and then there was something else. Now, Mayor Lutz also made a statement that we can't arrest this problem away. And he's right. The biggest point is most of these youth that we're seeing involved in this are already involved in the criminal justice system at the county level. They commit a crime here. They're referred to the county court, county judge. County refers them to county probation. They do what they have to do. A good number of these individuals, and I've spoken to someone with probation. A good number of the individuals, the juveniles who are involved in these things in the borough consistently, are already in the system. Those are the ones that I feel are still being left out. And I think that's the core group that we need to focus on. So, no, we can't arrest it all away. But I think that's a huge demographic that we're going to be missing unless we do something different about that system. I have an idea on that system. That's going to be another pin in it, come back to it. That'll be a separate video, which I'm hoping to actually release today and get a lot of input on it and, thoughts, some debate. I really want to get into this and see if this is something that is feasible, something people that are willing to work with. But it's not going to be able to be just me. Yeah, I'm an idea guy. There was discussion on 208 and 210 Locust Street. Basically, the gist of the conversation was there needs to be an improvement to the facade of the building for it to be stable enough to be marketed. So these organizations that are in the middle here were coming to the borough and asking them for a $75,000 loan that would be matched to complete this project. Now, when he was asked if this is something we would recoup, there was a few different answers. There was maybe, possibly, not guaranteed. I hear no. Now, someone asked the brilliant question of, there's already organizations in place for these historical buildings to get these things done. Can we look at maybe asking them for funding? And someone with the knowledge came back with, they're not going to put money out for those sorts of projects without having an end user and a knowledge of what's going to happen and whether there's going to be a return there. Obviously, they're doing a very good thing, but they're also running a business. So what we're saying here in essence is, and this isn't I don't think what anybody's plan was, but this is logistically what's happening. An organization that would normally take control of something like this and say, yes, let's put money into this and help you with this project, said no, we're going to deny that loan because this criteria wasn't met. And then come back to the borough and say, can you make us this $75,000 loan that you may or may not recoup? Now, I'm not saying this in any legal way whatsoever, because it's not in any legal sense. But conceptually, this sounds a lot like loan sharking. And I don't want any of us or any of our elected officials to have to go out and break somebody's legs ahead of time for a loan we may or may not recoup. But that's how it sounded to me. If somebody else gets a completely different picture out of that, let me know, and please enlighten me on that one. So nothing was done. It wasn't moved on. Evidently, information that was supposed to be relayed between Banana 1 and Banana 2 wasn't relayed. So there was no way anybody was going to move on this anyway because information had not been progressed. I heard some people say after the fact that they thought maybe that the money would have been approved had it not been for so many people in the peanut gallery disapproving, sneers. I didn't really get that idea. I think Mayor Lutz was pretty staunch on his opinion of finding it elsewhere. Definitely finding it, but finding it elsewhere. And Councilman Murphy, I didn't get the onus that he was anywhere near comfortable spending anything at this point. So I don't think it was that. I think it was, the information wasn't there, and it's going to move forward and be discussed again. So everybody just be aware that that's still in the pipeline. It was also reported that one of the properties on North 3rd Street that was being rehabbed was actually turned over to a first-time home buyer. We were told a single mother with a child who is a Columbia resident previously, now has her first home that she can call hers in Columbia, in a house that the community by and large helped put a lot of things into. We need to do a lot more of that. And there's a lot of other ways to do that we should look into in the future, but that's in the future. But that was amazingly awesome to hear that. That was great news. So, after listening to a little bit of conversation about the prior fire company property on Front Street and the market property, them looking to being open for bids for lease, I decided to take my leave. I'm not interested in any personnel issues right now. The two main reasons I was there were discussed. So, if there's anything that I'm missing that you felt you really wanted to know anything about, my apologies. Got a little late. Things always get a little late and a little long-winded. It was nice that the important issues, as far as most people saw them, as far as the people were taken care of fairly early. That was nice. I wasn't expecting it, and it was good to see that handled that way. So, by and large, this is mostly just a quick set of bulletin points of what I got from the meeting and what I think some people should know from the meeting. As far as my opinions, as far as anything else I have to say on this, Ever the Villain, go check it out. Folks, take care of each other. We'll talk again a little later.